Hey everybody, Katie, Mike. So I can't believe it took this long, but we're gonna finally do the answers to the Q&A that I opened up like, I don't know, 2 months ago or something. We just keep forgetting. So some of the questions that were directed towards Mike and that were about his impending fatherhood, I made into a new tag video that I'll put a link to below. 2 lovely couples have done the tag, but it's all like dad-to-be questions. So I used a lot of your ideas and made a separate video about that. So this is sort of all the other questions, okay? And we're gonna try to go fast. Ready?
Ready.
Okay. Okay, first question is, when did Mike say, okay, let's have kids, or did he ever say that? And how old are we both? So that's easy. I'm 30.
I'm 29.
When did you say, okay, let's have kids? Did you
I didn't.
No, not really. You said you weren't ready for a really long time, and then you sort of
Just became ready.
became ready. Okay.
But
But
I
it was
never
subtle, yeah.
It's just a transition.
How long did we live in San Francisco and when? We lived there for 3 years. And it was from 2005 through the end of 2007. It was great.
I was there for 3 years.
Yeah, I was there for just shy of 3 years, I guess. How come I speak Spanish at work? And where did I learn? I work at an immigration attorney. I learned in high school and college and got to study abroad a little bit. So I love Spanish. My level is not where it used to be, but it's cool.
Muy bien.
What do I do for work exactly? So I just do, I'm basically an admin assistant for a law office. And what I studied in university was cultural studies and Spanish. I had a double major. So, yeah. It's just what I thought was interesting at the time, and I really wanted to travel a lot. I got to do a little bit of that. And what did you study? What do you do for work exactly, and what did you study?
I'm a lawyer, but I'm a legal services lawyer, so all of my clients are poor people. And I work for the local legal aid office here, so we don't charge for our services. We choose clients based on their income eligibility and also whether their legal issue fits into our organizational priorities. I focus on housing law, so I represent mostly tenants in eviction defense cases. I also do some consumer law, representing people who have been ripped off by companies. And in the past, I've done some civil rights law and some family law. Family cases involving domestic violence, where I represent the victim. So, okay, and what did I study in college? So all of these questions are to both you and me?
Well, some specify what.
Okay.
This one is for both.
I studied political theory in college with a focus on Marxist theory and sort of the history of social movements. What else?
And then when you were in law school, you did like public interest law.
Right. So I focused. I went to law school thinking I wanted to do union side labor law, and then ended up with a focus on legal services or legal aid work.
Cool. Good questions. We're off to a good start. Okay, I'm dying to hear your opinion about zombies. So.
Opinion?
Zombies are my favorite, I don't know what you'd even call them, like supernatural villain or whatever, because I think that it's the most realistic. I can totally see there being, like a virus that takes over in the human race, and it's just, to me, like the most realistic and the most scary for that reason. But I like zombie stuff. I like movies about zombies and books and whatever. I'm not into like the vampire thing or werewolves or whatever, but I think zombies are pretty great.
It's crazy you have to pick your like monster these days with all like the vampire, Twilight folks. I like them all. Vampires, monsters, mummies, werewolves, zombies. aliens,
Yeah, okay, aliens.
undersea creatures.
Yeah, okay. Also, what are your favorite books, music, artists, etc.? This is for both of us, I think. Oh, I don't know. It's hard. Do you have quick answers?
In high school, I was sort of a punk rock kid, and I grew up with a very strong love of rock and roll music, which is sort of, I don't know, but I like a lot of different kinds of music. I like sort of free jazz, sort of far out improvisational jazz, and other stuff too. I don't know. What do we both like? We're both big Bruce Springsteen fans.
He's a huge Bob Dylan fan.
I'm sort of a Bob
sort of
Dylan
like
freak.
folk stuff, rock stuff. We both still like punk and
yeah. So our first musical connection was that I was driving in a car in AmeriCorps and had a mix on like a tape. Remember cassettes? Mix in the playing in the tape recorder, and a Bikini Kill song came on. For those that you can Google.
Riot Girl music, yes.
Yeah, and so I asked who was a Riot Girl in the car, and Katie said that she was, and I was very impressed by that.
In high school.
And that started things going.
Yeah. That's a little obscure.
What about books? Katie's read just about every book ever printed.
No. I do like reading. I read mostly nonfiction, but my favorite books are, my favorite fiction writers are probably Toni Morrison is probably my favorite. Because her stuff is just so layered. Yeah, so there's so much there. I really like Desert Solitaire. It's an Edward Abbey book. He was a naturalist in the Southwest, and I think that part of the reason that I always wanted to live in the Southwest was because of some of his books. And I don't know, man, that's a whole separate video. Maybe someday I'll do a separate video. There's so many.
I'm sort of the opposite. I used to read a lot more nonfiction than I did fiction, but now I'm reading much more fiction than I am nonfiction.
You like science fiction?
Yeah, so I started reading a lot of science fiction stuff. Probably my favorite living American author is Cormac McCarthy. I think he's pretty awesome. I would love a book that I'm reading now by English science fiction writer named China Miéville. It's one of his first books, I think, called Perdido Street Station, and it's all sort of urban fantasy stuff. And it's totally awesome. But yeah, I mean, before sort of in college, I didn't read any fiction at all. It was all sort of social justice stuff. Usually the sort of stock answer, if I could pick one book that has influenced me most in my life, it's probably the autobiography of Malcolm X, which is, I'm not alone in that, obviously. It's a popular choice.
Okay, so this a form of this question came up from a few different people. It's how many do we plan on having more than one child, and if so, what kind of spacing are we thinking about between them? And I don't know. I think at this point,
one at a time.
Yeah, we're sort of. I think we'd like to have more than one child. We both come from threesomes, and I was pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I think that's a good dynamic.
We'll just see, sort of.
2 is good too.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see how it
Maybe
goes.
we'll try 2 and see how we're doing.
And I know I've mentioned this in the other video. All of my siblings are 4 years apart. So my sister is 8 years older than I am. My brother's 4 years older than I am. I was the youngest. And Katie's siblings, you're all 2 years apart, right? So.
Yeah. And I was happy with 2, and Mike was happy with 4 years between each of them. So I don't know. I mean, I think, you know, I'm almost 31, so I think that sort of comes into play a little bit. Just sort of how much time we have available. So we'll see. What else? What are the top 3 places in the world we both together want to see before we die?
I don't don't know. I would love to go to Egypt. I think Egypt is totally amazing. The fact that like civilization actually existed. I mean, that's straight. Yeah, I think it's totally awesome. I've done a little bit of traveling, mostly sort of the European stuff. I've been all around Western Europe and Canada and most of North America, except for the Southeast, and a little bit of Mexico. I don't know, where do we want to... Oh, we lived in Alaska for a couple of years. That was pretty awesome.
And I've sort of spent more time in weirder places. I haven't been to Western Europe.
That's
well,
loaded.
no, yeah, that's true. Not weird is a bad way to put it, but like less common places for travel. Yeah.
Katie's lived in South Korea. She's been to Ghana and Morocco.
Ecuador.
I've never been to Africa. I've never been to any part of Asia.
Yeah. And the Czech Republic and Slovakia. I really like Eastern Europe.
I've been to Prague.
Prague is amazing. So my mom's family, a lot of them still live in Slovakia, and I'd really like someday Mike and our kids to come meet their family there. So that would be high up on my list.
That would be cool.
Another place.
I could dig that.
Mike has never been to New Orleans. I've been there a couple times, and it's fantastic. So I'd like us to go together.
Yeah, in terms of this country, I would like to explore the Southeast, the sort of swamplands, Florida, Louisiana, even Georgia. I've never been to I haven't been to anywhere there. So. And
we both love Canada. I spent a lot of time in Ontario, and Mike's dad's family was from Saskatchewan. So, and then when we moved to Alaska, we went up through British Columbia, and
oh, that's fun.
Did we go through Northwest? I mean, the Yukon. Mm-hmm. And so from there we were like, oh my gosh, we would love to just take a summer and see all of Canada, or more of it. That'd be great. Okay. Do we plan on spanking our children?
It's sort of a weird question.
Just as if it's too personal, you don't have to answer it, but yeah.
It's not weird to ask.
We haven't really talked about it.
I don't like the idea of using, physical punishment for discipline, but I remember being spanked a little bit when I was a kid.
Yeah, me too.
Every once in a while.
But I think we'll probably try to figure out a different way of dealing with those situations. Yelling.
Being scary.
You have to, on YouTube, you have to clarify when you were joking about stuff like that. So.
It's okay.
Yeah, okay.
Well, no, I mean, yelling is essential.
I'm going to get messages. I'm going to get messages being like, yelling is no better. Okay. What did you want to be when you grew up, when you were younger, for each of us? I wanted to be an astronaut. That was my first thing. And then a writer.
I wanted to be a Ghostbuster. And then I wanted to be a cartoonist or animator for a long time. And then I wanted to be a labor organizer. And then, bizarrely, I wanted to be a lawyer.
Okay.
And now I want to be... I don't know. I'll figure it out.
Am I planning to go back to work after the baby is born? So, I would love to work from home. That's my goal. I don't really care what I do. I've got a whole bunch of ideas, and I think I'm just going to see what works out. But in the short term, I'm planning to be home for sort of as long as we can work it, and then go back part-time at my current job. But I'm trying to really keep those hours minimal so I can prioritize.
I think it's going to be sort of a play it as we go type situation, see what you can actually afford
and stuff. Yeah. So less than ideal. I've always been like I think I would be a really good homemaker. that totally suits me, my interests and stuff. But right now I don't think that's quite in the cards.
But a radical, empowered one.
Of course.